It's a miracle. It's a theater company totally conceived in chaos, and out of it has come a really miraculous meeting of intergenerational folks aged like 5 to about 75. It's a group of people who love theater, adults who love to teach theater to kids, and everybody just has a great time doing it.
The whole thing was her idea, and from the get-go the idea was that we had to get kids involved in it. It was a cross-generational thing, because it used to be just the choir fundraiser show once a year, and now it's, with Jean's vision, it was, no, this isn't just for adults, it's for kids too. And the more parents that are on stage or somehow involved with their kids, the better. And she's right.
Actually, we found a program from the 40s or 50s that they had done the Most Happy Fella here, which is a really oldie-goldie, and there's been theater of one type or another being done at Montview, I'll bet even before that. The choir used to do musicals to raise money for concerts. When John came and set up the Sacred Foundation, we stopped having to do that as a choir. And it was dormant for a few years, very few years, and then the teenagers came. My daughter and Katie Robb came and asked if they could do theater, since we had the stage. We had been given the stage in '81 when they disbanded it as a sanctuary. They said we could turn it into a stage, and that's when it became Miller Performing Arts Center. Otherwise, we had been doing shows in the basement in the Fellowship Hall. We got a crew in that summer with sledgehammers, and Mike McMullen with his bridge building expertise, and built the stage and moved everything in barely in time for opening night of Musique, man, in 1982, I guess it was, 82.
Cheek, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more, pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk. Cheek, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more, pick a little.
76 trombones led the big parade, with 110 cornets close at hand.
I want to say 1992 was the first production we did as Musique and Masque, and that was Lil Abner. We chose that because we figured you can't do a whole lot to hurt Lil Abner, and we had no idea what we were doing, because John said he would do the music if I would find a director and if I would take care of everything else. And so we talked to the teens, and that was great. They wanted to do theater. Well, then the word got out, and adults said, well, we want to do it too. So we put a note in the messenger and said, okay, anybody who wants to do this, show up. So we had adults, we had teens, and we had a few small children. And my niece, at that time, had gotten her degree in technical theater. And I contacted her and said, gee, would you be interested in teaching us how to make flats and do all these things? And she said, sure, and I've always wanted to direct. And I said, great, we need a director. So that's where we started, and we cast that one. We had to cast it really randomly. We paid no attention to age. We had a mayor of Dogpatch who was, I think, 11 years old and wearing oversized clothes, and we had a woman play Pappy because we didn't have a Pappy show up. We just did very bizarre things in that and had a great time with it, and it was one of those magic things that just sort of, oh my goodness, we can do this. And that's where it went from there. Early on, we decided that anybody who wanted to do theater could do theater. It was just the nature of what we wanted to do. I'm not sure we envisioned where we are now with 90 people on stage. We had over 90 in the cast this year. But somehow you look up here and it doesn't look that overcrowded. It's a lot of people, but you don't feel like it's totally a disaster.
As long as there's a square inch left on the stage, why, we'll still let anybody who wants to be in the company be in the company.
We take anybody in the church, in the community. People hear about us, but mostly through kids. The teens and the younger kids have friends. They see what they're doing. They want to do it too. The parents call and say, is it true that I don't have to be a member of your church to do this? And it's always, sure, just come. And that has really given us, it's given a really nice feel to this group. And some of those people end up coming to the church. Some of them drop into different programs here at the church. But it's been a real plus to expand into the community and do that.
You know, some churches would do this as some sort of proselytizing evangelical outreach, and that's not what we're doing. We're just part of the community, hopefully making the entire community stronger and more tightly knit.
It gets harder and harder to find shows. We've done an awful lot of the village shows. Every year I look, and just to show how desperate I am, I'm trying to figure out a way to make Sound of Music a village, and there is no such thing. It's nuns, it's Nazis, and 7 children. So I was thinking, okay, what can we turn into group numbers here? And some of them you can do that with, and some shows you can't. There are many you just can't do that.
Yeah, obviously it all starts with Gene, because Gene's got a garage full of videotapes and a basement full of videotapes, and Gene's idea of a good time is watching some sappy musical that she's already seen 15 times. That's her idea of a good time. Go home and put the dog in her lap and watch it a 16th time. So she's just totally familiar with the literature. Whereas, I won't tell you how many of the shows we've done here I had never seen before. So it starts with her vision, because not only does she know them all, love them all, but she's always got the idea as to, okay, this is the show that would work this year because these are the kids who are this year's upperclassmen, and therefore it's their turn. We've got to get them a part that's going to get them their moment of the spotlight before they move on to college. Or this is the year that she can see, I can't see anything, that she can see that we've got this raft of really good middle school kids, so therefore this show works because there's a big chorus number for that age group.
Our kids know that if they put in their time, do a good job, work really hard, that their chance of having a good role, maybe not a leading role, but a good role, are pretty good if they want one.
It's why our cast lists vary from year to year, is because she always knows whose turn it is.
We don't always pay attention to who has the most talent, which is not usually the best way to cast a musical. We would never ask a kid to do something that we don't think they're capable of doing. We pretty much know their vocal abilities, and then there's that other ability to get out of yourself and be somebody else on stage that you never know until they actually try. But we've had kids that are right on the edge, but would never be chosen to do this in any other program, because high schools technically go for the best talent, and we understand that side of it too. But we wanted a program where the kids felt safe to experiment, to be who they are. And I've never yet had a kid who took a role and didn't come through with flying colors, because bottom line is they don't want to fail either. And it's just so great to see that.
Why are you so rude?
We had one young lady who had been with us since she was 6 years old. And we had to really talk her into getting on stage that first time, and then she never missed a show after that until she graduated from high school. And her senior year was, she didn't have the best singing voice. She didn't have, she really had to work at that. She took voice lessons. She worked really hard because she wanted to do it. And she came in and did an audition that just knocked us all on our butts. We were so excited to see that, and then she went on and did a performance. And she had to work really hard for that performance because it didn't come naturally. But when she left, she had something to really be proud of. And it's what it does for our kids. Our parents come back all the time and tell us that it makes our kids able to stand up in front of a class and do a book report. I mean, real life values. I mean, things that they can carry with them forever. That's the beauty of it for me. What we see happening to our kids is just unbelievable.
David Hewlett comes to mind.
Rain, a drop of golden sun. Me, I think I call myself.
I could bring her out here.
Hey, that'd be great. Can you swing it?
Leave it to me.
Of course, Nikki Inamoto, who we enjoyed in high school, and now she's in college, but she's still with us, and can't ask for better than that. She started with us, I believe, in Bye Bye Birdie, and then had a leading role in Cinderella.
Prefer a solid girl like me. She's a frothy little bubble with a flimsy kind of charm and with very little trouble. I can break her little arm. Oh, why would I love like that? Don't ask me what. How I found him. You've been a lucky bride. He's handsome, he's tall, and it's from side to side. Because the rooster swindled him out of $1,100.
Ah, Lil. Sis, I'd like you to meet a friend of mine from,
Jersey City.
yeah, Jersey City. Miss Lily St. Regis.
I'm named after the hotel.
And another piece of it, I don't know if you've ever spent a lot of time backstage in what we call the green room, which is the waiting area to go on stage. So often I walk through there and I'll see the groups of teens doing their homework together. I'll see adults helping teens with their math problems. I see little kids sitting on adults' laps being read to. I see the teens helping the little ones. There's something very magical about that interaction backstage that I don't see it anywhere else, in anything else I do. It's true community building. I find that every summer it's a different community, and I know there are years when I think, oh dear, these people aren't going to be here, so it's not going to be as good, and it's always better in a different way.
It's true of any good theater company, but it's even more true in this one because we are truly a family. I mean, any production company ends up spending so much time together, literally living together so many hours, that they do support each other. They do get to know each other on a very intimate level. But I don't know of any other situations where Dad and his daughter are in the same dance number on stage, where Mom's running coordinating the parent volunteers while her daughter's in the chorus, or while Dad is helping spin the stage backstage because the rest of his family's on stage. It really is a family affair.
A lot of that is because we have adults who really care, who see this as, and for adults it's a great place to do something with their kids. There aren't a lot of places you can totally get into something and spend a whole summer with your kids. And we have a lot of families who do this for that reason. And the parents are so eager for their kids to have this kind of experience that they invest a lot in it. And so I think that's part of what brings the community around. I think it's really getting through the hard work together that makes it a good experience for everybody, because it is a lot of work, but the rewards are so great. I know we have young kids who are not sure they want to be in it, and I think of Jen May as one of those who, maybe I do, maybe I don't, I'd rather go to something else right now. If we can just get them through the performance, or through the rehearsal stuff, because that's deadly. I mean, that's hard for kids.
Right arm. No, right arm. Switch. Switch. Boom, boom. One more time. Right arm. Left arm. Switch. Step on that one. Can you put this one out here? Can you put your foot out? Put your weight over here. Oops, sorry, buddy. There, you can go like this. See how that goes in front? And switch. And switch. Stand up.
There's such a payoff at the end when you're standing up on stage and the lights are on and the audience is out there so excited. And there's a huge payoff for kids in that, I think. The same thing with the orphans one night, the named orphans, shall we say, the main group of orphans. In that opening scene, we had not really spent a lot of time with it, and Dennis just got in their faces that night up on the stage, and one of the kids said later, "Well, we really worked hard tonight, but it was so much fun," you know, and they were so excited because they saw what they could do. And they may not have ever gotten to that intensity again, but they knew what they needed to do, and they did a much better job all the way around. And I think that's, when you're working with groups, it's easy to forget that sometimes they need the special attention as well as just as much as the lead characters. You've got to pay attention to your chorus, because that's really what carries musicals. I always tell the chorus, you're never a small part of a show, you're the largest part of the show. If you don't have a good chorus, you might as well hang it up and go home, because the leads don't mean anything without the backup chorus. I get to hear a lot of stories during showtime, and I know a lot of our kids, and I know a lot of their families, and Patty gave up a baby very early on, and she had a song where it was just heartbreakingly clear that she was just living this, and the whole show was that way for her in the end.
That's washed away.
Every wondering, reminiscing, I keep wondering if she's missing me.
And the scene at the end when she finds him in the snowbank and he's gone from her, and she thought I don't think any of us were not crying. Night after night, we would sit there and just weep with her. And she and we all got to a point where we could do it without, but even then.
I couldn't just leave them. And now too late. Cry, my dear, for the warmth of a mother's heart can thaw the stoniest frost.
Oh, if only I could believe that.
You're a must, but what do we have if we don't have hope?
We have a very long history of things happening during our shows that are just devastating. Gil Horn died while the kids were doing Godspell. And I can remember the first rehearsal, we all sat here and just wept. But then we got to thinking about Gil floating around. But 9/11 was one of those. We came back the next night to do a dress rehearsal, and the adults were saying, how can we do this? And the kids were just sort of uneasy. I don't think they had a real sense of what was, most of them didn't have a true sense, but the more we thought about it, the more we realized that the only way to counteract things like this is to keep going. As soon as all this was unraveling, I talked to John, and it was just a miracle that the band was all available the next night. So we just moved our dress rehearsal, and I remember the little pieces Dennis said before the shows every night. Very hard for him to do. But I said, Dennis, I know I can't do them. So, just a way for us to remember that it's about the living too. Yeah, this group was able to laugh together, to cry together, to support each other. I know so many times when there were really ugly things going on in people's lives during showtime, and maybe people didn't know it, but it was important for us to be a family. It's who we are. It's a great program. I love it. I love doing it. I love being a part of it. I don't even mind the administrative stuff when I realize what it leads to. In the middle of the summer it gets very tedious, but it's just the whole program it has such a following, not only in our actors, but the congregation loves what they see on our stage because of the people that are involved. It's just a huge piece of this church right now.